As soccer fans file into Seattle Stadium, there's a team working behind the scenes to keep everyone safe, and that team relies on K9 Moby. While the city buzzes with match day energy, K9 Moby and his handler are quietly sweeping venues before teams and fans arrive. Moby graduated from an elite ATF program that turns talented dogs into explosives and firearms sniffing specialists. He works off-leash across large spaces like Seattle Stadium.
Biggest challenges is just the crowds and the logistics and kind of the scope of this, because we have practice venues, watch party venues, game venues, all of those things that need to be covered.
The special agent K9 handler who works with him hides his own identity because of the work he does, but he gave us a look at K9 Moby's training that gets him prepared for events like soccer matches. K9 Moby is based out of Portland, Oregon, but he's been here in Seattle to work every single match. Near Seattle Stadium, I'm Natalie Swaby.
This is a press conference, but it's not a celebration.
King County Executive Gurmai Zahalai and Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson were clear. They're not getting rid of the King County Regional Homelessness Authority, but the city and county are pulling their money from it and will now manage it themselves.
And not just that it's not being dissolved, it is being strengthened. So we are trying to position it so that it can perform those core functions and crucially being a strong applicant for continuum of care funds.
Following the April forensic evaluation that revealed the agency couldn't account for 13 million taxpayer dollars, several city and county elected officials called to dissolve KCRHA.
Cats get 9 lives. This organization has had 10, one more than it should have. It's time for it to go.
Starting next year, the organization will continue to manage only federal funds.
We just got the results of the recent point in time count. We have seen another significant increase, especially in our rates of unsheltered homelessness, which we should all feel is unacceptable.
KCRHA's current CEO, Dr. Kelly Kinnison, was not a part of the press conference, but she answered questions after about what led up to this moment.
A very bad situation and something taxpayers should be very mad about. And if I could go back and do it differently, I would.
In addition to mismanaged funds, the organization's efforts didn't improve the region's homelessness crisis. Since its formation in 2019, more people in Seattle and King County, not fewer, are unhoused.
As it was launched, it is a failed experiment, and I think we need to do something different.
Today, the Washington State Attorney General announced that the office has been given what they call concurrent jurisdiction to investigate any criminal conduct at Nippon Dynawave. This is the paper mill in Longview where 11 workers died in May when a tank of dangerous chemicals collapsed. This is the first time we've heard word of a possible criminal investigation, but I want to be clear here, this is not saying that there was a crime or that such an investigation even exists. But this statement by the Office of Attorney General Nick Brown opens the door to that possibility. This means they have a concurrent jurisdiction along with the Cowlitz County prosecutor to investigate and prosecute. As we've reported, there have been questions raised in state documents about Nippon Dynawave's maintenance and repair practices, including those related to Tank G, the tank that collapsed. The question we don't know yet is whether those rise to the level of negligence or even a criminal act.
Today, King County and Seattle City officials announced that the King County Regional Homelessness Authority is no longer going to be receiving county and city funding. Instead, they're now just going to be in charge of this continuum of care funding, which is federal funding. This follows a disastrous financial audit or a forensic evaluation that happened in April, and it showed that the agency couldn't account for around 13 million taxpayer dollars. Following that evaluation, many city council members and also county council members called for the dismantling of KCRHA, but today the mayor and the county executive said that they stand by having the agency around. This is because they say that the Regional Homelessness Authority is still the best applicant for this federal continuum of care funding, and now with the responsibility of managing the city and county contracts back at the hands of the city and the county, they say that this is a good way for the Regional Homelessness Authority to continue serving the community.
It was a busy weekend for undercover agents across Snohomish County. 13 men now under arrest in the Edmonds, Linwood, Mount Lake Terrace area for soliciting sex from what they thought were children. Those undercover agents would go on dating apps and websites known to promote prostitution, posing as kids as young as 12 and 13 years old. They actually used AI to make their own faces look like children's. In one of those cases, the agent was posing as a parent, selling her own 12 and 13-year-old daughters, and she did find one taker. All of those men now facing felony charges expected to be filed next week.
Hey guys, just getting off the set from the Ultimate Seattle Sports Show. I got to fill in today alongside Chris Egan. Paul Sylvie is out. You've got to check out the show if you haven't already. It streams every morning at 10 a.m. Just search Ultimate Seattle Sports Show. It will pull up. You can find us there. Also on the King 5 Plus app. Just scroll over. We're usually on the front page, but it is very front and center. It's a great show. The King 5 team is doing a phenomenal job. Honored to just fill in today. We talked about Kate Anderson on the Mariners, Brian Woo's amazing accomplishment last night. Also, what's going on in Canada right now? It's Canada Day. Had a lot of fun with that as well. So, hey, check us out. Also talking World Cup, so much going on. Ultimate Seattle Sports Show here on King 5. If you haven't heard about it yet, it's time you have.
A teenager was left in critical condition after jumping off a dock into Lake Washington. This happened near Mount Baker Park on June 23rd, which was one of those really hot days where we saw temperatures in the 80s and 90s. And I just got back the CAD report, which is a record from the Seattle Police Department that shows the exact timing of everything that happened. The 911 call came in at 3:43 p.m. from a witness saying they'd seen a child jumping into the water. A friend jumped in after, and neither were seen getting out. 2 minutes later at 3:45, the friend who jumped in after got out, the CAD report says, but the other child was still not seen. At the same time, the report says paddleboarders converged in the area to help emergency responders rescue swimmers identify the area the child went under. 9 minutes later at 3:54, the report says the child was located and emergency responders were working on getting him to the surface. Now, this report really shows how quick the people there responded to this scary situation and helped emergency rescuers get to the boy as fast as they could. The 17-year-old was taken to Harborview and listed in critical condition. King 5 followed up asking if there's been any update on his condition in the past week. They said he's since been taken to another pediatric facility. As we learn more information, of course, we'll keep you updated.
Wild case here in Pierce County where a missing persons investigation has turned into a homicide case. In early June, friends and family reported Kalik Bradley as missing. He's a JBLM veteran, and there was talk that maybe he was going to be moving to Virginia, but no one had had any contact with him for several weeks. Over the weekend, it sounds like, Tacoma police were able to identify someone who was using credit cards that belonged to Bradley, and they weren't Mr. Bradley. So they arrested someone who they say told them, well, Bradley was killed by his girlfriend. I can take you to where they dumped the body. So they were led out to a remote part of Joint Base Lewis McChord where they found the remains that they believe belonged to Kalik Bradley. This man was arrested on a homicide charge, and so was the woman, the former girlfriend. They tell us, the detectives, that they believe that she killed the man at her Lakewood apartment and then took the remaining some 5 miles to the east. Those two folks will be in court on Thursday on murder charges.
Don't mind me, I'm just trying to stimulate my brain's sensory motor network with my feet.
Nike used to be all about making you run faster, jump higher, just do it. Now it's entered the neuro-wearable segment. These shoes, the Nike Mind, are designed to improve mental focus and reduce stress. These foam nodes, 22 in total per shoe, are supposed to stimulate sensory nerves on the feet.
Nike's the first company to create a team like the Mind Science department.
What are they? They are mind-altering shoes. It looks like an indoor slipper.
This technology is different in a sense that this is a passive neuro-wearable technology in my view.
Well, I can tell you that these shoes are comfortable, a little bit hot, but are they mind-altering? I don't even know how you could quantify that, but I can tell you that my mind has been almost 100% focused on the fact that I am wearing these.
And so far, I feel no change in stress levels.
You know, I think feet up rather than shoes on probably works best for me.
Pacific Place in downtown Seattle has a new exhibit. It's kind of scary. Tell me more.
It's really scary, Kelly. It is called Mind of a Serial Killer, and we are getting inside the minds of a lot of serial killers, including University of Washington's very own Ted Bundy, Gary Ridgway. So there is a Seattle connection, and we are getting inside the minds of these serial killers so we can make sure that we don't become a killer or get killed.
Oh, yes. And you know what? I feel like with that, we should just stop there.
That right there.
Go see it. Tease.
Go see it.
Can I pet you? Nah. Man.
I don't think so. A loose goat led deputies on a 20-minute chase in Parkland, and there they go. Pierce County deputies found it weaving in and out of traffic near Pacific Lutheran University, and after attempts to speak goat language and lure it with broccoli, detectives finally were able to capture the goat. It was then taken to a local rescue farm.
Okay, everybody, crabbing season is here, and there's something that the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife wants you to know when you are crabbing. On this crab, there's this little green tag. Don, what is this?
This is a scientific Floyd tag that we attach to Dungeness crab to track their movements. And we've tagged nearly 1,000 in the last year. And so if you get a crab like this, please note the phone number and the tag number, location and date. We'd like that information so we can track crab movement in Puget Sound.
Not all of the crabs that people catch are going to be crabs that they can keep. So if they find a female, if they find a crab that's too small and it has this tag, you're going to throw that crab back. But they still want you to record where you found it, record that phone number, and call it in and let them know. This is part of a big picture research project they're doing to figure out crab movement within Puget Sound. So you're not in trouble if you catch a crab with one of these tags. You can still keep it as long as it's the right size and gender. But this is really important information for Fish and Wildlife to know of where these crabs are moving around the Sound.
Exactly.
A teenager was left in critical condition after jumping off a dock into Lake Washington. This happened near Mount Baker Park on June 23rd, which was one of those really hot days where we saw temperatures in the 80s and 90s. And I just got back the CAD report, which is a record from the Seattle Police Department that shows the exact timing of everything that happened. The 911 call came in at 3:43 p.m. from a witness saying they'd seen a child jumping into the water. A friend jumped in after, and neither were seen getting out. 2 minutes later at 3:45, the friend who jumped in after got out, the CAD report says, but the other child was still not seen. At the same time, the report says paddleboarders converged in the area to help emergency responders rescue swimmers identify the area the child went under. 9 minutes later at 3:54, the report says the child was located and emergency responders were working on getting him to the surface. Now, this report really shows how quick the people there responded to this scary situation and helped emergency rescuers get to the boy as fast as they could. The 17-year-old was taken to Harborview and listed in critical condition. King 5 followed up asking if there's been any update on his condition in the past week. They said he's since been taken to another pediatric facility. As we learn more information, of course, we'll keep you updated.
Behind these doors, fantasy becomes reality. Kate Johnson and Ruth Densley are the mother-daughter team behind Ruth and Kate Portraits in Renton, capturing the magic of childhood through their imaginative lens, creating captivating portraits that look like they're straight from the pages of a storybook.
Welcome to the studio. First they'll come in and be very wowed by just the magical experience just walking in. Then they get to pick out their outfit that they want.
After some hair and makeup, it's time to be transported.
You know, look right at Steve. All right, move your nose this way just a little bit, but eyes to me.
After the shoot, pictures are selected and sent off to artists to apply their magic.
We digitally paint everything.
The results of their work are more than just photographs. They're pieces of art.
Being in your imagination. It's seriously better than Disneyland.
Childhood doesn't last very long, but Ruth and Kate hope their photos capture a fleeting moment and create lasting memories. It's a typical day at Evening Magazine. Wondering where everyone is? Not in the office. That's kind of the point of the show. My buddy Jose Cedeno is up in the San Juan Islands shooting stories.
I'm doing stories about what to do, what to eat, and of course, where to stay.
Producer John Marr is at the original Starbucks in Seattle's Pike Place Market grabbing video. Photog Diane Lewis Torrey and St. Brian are on Mercer Island shooting a story about a multi-million-dollar home for sale.
$19.5 million. What could that buy you on Mercer Island? Well, a pretty big house.
Our executive producer, Joseph Suntner's out shooting a social video at the brand new concourse expansion at SeaTac. Producer Ann Erickson cooked up the idea for this story on her ferry ride into work. Me? I'm on the Seattle waterfront at Ye Olde Curiosity Shop with photographer Mark Mirage. It's today's studio.
That's minutes away.
Back at the office, that's editor Jared Porter putting together Saint's story about Steven Spielberg's new movie Disclosure Day. Digital producer Spencer Brown is doing our social media.
Just waiting for Jose's web story, still.
And everyone is writing scripts or editing video.
This is where all the magic happens.
This is the mic booth. This is where I talk about the show. Where I choose to edit, that's a different story. Believe it or not, this darkened cave is where I choose to edit the show. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta get back to work.
Finally, all the stories, stand-ups, and graphics come together here in the capable hands of our post-production editor, Stacy Ridgren. She turns all of these pieces into the half-hour show you watch at 7:30, now called Evening Magazine. Once again.
Even the ballpark legends are getting in on the World Cup moment in Seattle. Griffey, Edgar, and Ichiro all dressed in U.S. men's national team jerseys on the day the Americans advanced to the round of 16. And just a short walk away from T-Mobile Park at Lumen Field on Monday, July 6th, the U.S. will face Belgium in the winner-take-all match. Seattle is about to host one of its biggest days in its sports history, and even the Mariners are feeling the energy.
We are officially starting to take a 10-year time lapse of outer space. Yes, you heard me right. This is absolutely mind-blowing. If you have not heard of the Rubin Observatory, listen up. The Rubin is basically a giant telescope in Chile. It's officially hit 1 year live, so it went live in June of 2025. And basically, the goal is to better understand the night sky. So they have spent the last year capturing visuals, making sure it's all working correctly, with the goal of starting a 10-year cycle of capturing high-definition, incredible images that go out farther than we've ever gone before. In the last year, we have learned so much about outer space that we had no idea. We're kind of relearning things about how how planets are formed, what else is out there, asteroids. It's fascinating. And the Rubin has officially given the green light to start that 10-year cycle. They were waiting to make sure everything was working perfectly. It is. So here we go. This is about to become a time lapse of the night sky over a 10-year span. The information that is going to come from this, we cannot even comprehend. So this is the beginning, and we cannot wait to see what comes next.
Well, voters could have a say when it comes to that income tax that the state legislature passed earlier this year. You remember the so-called millionaires tax? Well, it fired up a lot of folks, including the Let's Go Washington organization, and they are here now at the Secretary of State's election headquarters in Tumwater, where they are dropping off thousands of signatures gathered on initiatives this spring. And the organization says it has more than enough to qualify for the ballot. That will be up to the Secretary of State's office, who will begin the verification process. We should know in a couple of weeks if they qualify for the ballot. If so, it would be up to voters come November, although there are some who think, including the governor and folks with Let's Go Washington, who think ultimately this will be up to the state Supreme Court justices. But the voters could turn it down come November, or they could approve it. We'll have to see.
Police are asking for the public's help after an attempted stabbing in downtown Bellevue last weekend. Investigators say officers arrested a 35-year-old man on suspicion of second-degree assault after Sunday's incident in the 500 block of 110th Avenue Northeast. Police say there is no ongoing threat to the public, but they're asking anyone who witnessed the incident or recorded video to contact the Bellevue Police Department as the investigation continues.